Hi there guys, welcome back to Dad Plays Stuff. Now before we start, please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you want more content like this. Today we're tackling Bolt in the Comprehensive Guide series. Now Bolt is a giant battleship immortal that is still one of the early game immortals. He's not too difficult and we'll go into the weak points and the strategies in order to beat him. Now the first attack that Bolt has involves a load of laser cannons that are on his back. If these hit, they do a lot of damage, so avoid them. Easiest way to avoid them is just to fly underneath basically where they are. They can't aim down, they can only aim above his body. So if you're floating quite high above Bolt, you're going to get shot, essentially. The next is the little immortals that are flying around him. So obviously take these out, they're a good source of ammo and they enable you to prolong the fight. Now in his first stage, Bolt has several weak points. 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, 2 in the back. Each of these weak points is very important for the fight going ahead, and that goes for both his alpha and beta version. Now these points look like a big circular disc with 3 spiky bits coming out of it. Essentially just target them down and they will blow up. Now the reason these are important is in phase 2, where Bolt basically segments his body and stretches out like a big eel, he charges electricity to these points. It's at this point that it arcs a beam of electricity and it deals a crap ton of damage. If you notice them charging up, try and destroy them as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if you're close enough, you are going to take a massive amount of damage and there's no real way to avoid it other than distance. So if you do start getting arced by his electricity attack, move away as quickly as possible. Now in this second phase, he continues to do all of his other attacks. He still has little immortals flying around, his laser cannons are still going, but he does unlock some extra weak points. Now on the segments of his back, there will be power cells that pop up essentially. These are really easy to target, really easy to take down, but you're probably best taking out the electricity arc things on his sides at least first. Try and focus on at least one section, because if you take out the 2 in the middle, that actually unlocks your ability to take out the other power point, like the little power cells along his body, a lot easier than the front or the back does, because most of them are oriented towards the middle. The other power cells are also moving along what looks like an electrified rail at the belly of his body. The problem with these ones is they frequently move into cover on the segments of his body. So they're harder to maintain damage on and hit, but at the same time they deal a lot of damage as they move along the electrified rail. Now on occasion Bolt will decide to boost. He usually moves quite fast in this kind of stage. It's best to just let him run his booster out, and then once he stops trying to move around, just catching up to him. Chasing him down, just there's not a huge amount of point in it. He does a variety of different things, like doing a loop-de-loop or just going around in a big circle. It's not too difficult to avoid. It's only really dangerous in the alpha and beta version of the fight. Now, what differs between the alpha and beta version of the fight? If I'm honest, for the alpha version, there's not a lot. He gets a new ability in phase 2 where the electrified rail, because it looks electrified in all 3 versions of the fight, but the electrified rail in the alpha version is actually electrified. So if you touch it, you take a massive hit of damage and get a massive knockback. The rest of his attacks all do a lot more damage, and as I said before, his boost attack becomes dangerous at this point, because if he boosts and you're in the way, he's going to hit you with that electrified rail and you're going to take a big chunk of damage. Other than that though, there's not a huge amount of difference. As long as you're not sticking too close to him, you're going to be able to deal with that with very little pushback. It's only people that are trying to use melee weapons that are actually going to struggle with this stage, because unfortunately when you swing, you sometimes charge straight into the electrified rail and end up taking crap tons of damage. Now Bolt Beta, again, doesn't differ very much from Alpha. He has all the same abilities, the electrified rail, the cannons on top, the charge attack, the moving power cores, all that kind of thing. But now, his arcing electricity will stun you if you take prolonged damage from it. So, if you're standing about letting it hit you, you're going to get stunned and it's going to keep hitting you. It can deal massive amounts of damage. So it makes the electricity pylons on his sides, his front and his back, more and more vital to be destroyed. I would again suggest taking out the middle two. That's really the main thing I tend to do. Now that's all there really is to say about what Bolt can do. In terms of how to fight him, melee is going to be difficult. If you are a melee player, then you're going to find a bit more of a difficult way of getting around him. You're probably best focusing on his backside and the power cores on the top of him. The ones in the moving along the rail are going to be a death sentence for you if you try and go for them. But you're going to have to essentially come from below and the side and go up rather than coming down from above. Essentially, if you come down from above, you're going to fly right into the electric rail. If you come from the side and then charge up, you might be able to avoid it. It's going to take a little bit of practice for melee users in this fight. My personal strategy is using sniper rifles, machine guns, or bazookas and acid launchers. Acid and bazooka launchers do especially good amounts of damage on the upper power cores that are on his back, and it also does the acid kind of damage that it does to most enemies. Sniper rifles are really good for taking out the pylons on his sides and on his back and his front, because you can do a huge amount of damage to them really quickly, and you don't need to be close to do it, so you can just from a distance destroy the pylons, and then once they're gone and you're eliminating the need to be electrocuted, you can just go in and blast the power cores on the back with bazookas and stuff like that, or machine guns. It really just depends on what you're wanting to go for. Long range, or the longer range you can get, is the best way to go for this fight. So if you're melee, you're going to struggle. If you're long range, easy as anything. So, we move on to the blueprints. Now, all 3 iterations of Bolt have one blueprint in common. It comes in 1 version, 2 versions, 3 versions. So there's the OAW A53 Riot Light. Now in the video you'll see the Riot Light 3 because it's the most powerful version of it. Essentially what it is, it's an arcing laser gun, and the main utility of it is you blast the enemy, and once they get shocked a certain amount, they will be stunned. Now the main use of this is during boss fights. Bosses are massive targets and they get stunned relatively easy because of this. It's very difficult to miss against a boss because as long as your aim is not completely insanely off, you will arc and hit the boss. When the boss is stunned, it can't move, so its weak points are incredibly vulnerable and it makes them so easy to take down. Dominator becomes trivial when you've got at least one player with this sparking gun going off. They're actually really good when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to other things, in PvP they could in theory be really good if you have the wherewithal to keep up with your enemy and to manage to keep your aim on them at all times, because you could shock them to buggery, and once they're stunned you could then just obliterate them with a more powerful gun in your other hand. That, however, is going to be difficult to do, and we'll see what the future holds when it comes to the balancing and things they're doing with PvP. I suspect it's going to be something that's not going to be too great, but if you can use it well, you're going to be able to wreck with it. Now the last blueprint is the OAW P54 Aegis. Now there's not a huge amount to say about this. It's a massive plate of Bolt's armour and it's a shield. All of them are pretty standard. They take different amounts of damage, different amounts of things. The difference with Aegis is it has massive bullet and laser defense. However, its durability is really poor. So if you're using it, it's going to break really quickly. So it's one of those shields that you should maybe use for big attacks that are incoming, rather than, you know, just using it for like random fire. Because while it's going to take a beating, it's just not going to last very long in comparison. To give you an example, one of the first shields you get, the Grand Bulkhead, has comparable durability, but it has 3 slots potentially, decent laser defense, poor bullet defense, but its durability is far going to be better if you're adding attachments that increase its durability. You've even got the Gaia plate, which has a lot more durability, less laser defense, but you can add laser defense to it. So you might actually just be better off with a regular shield that's got a bit more of a happy medium between everything. But anyway, that was the blueprints. So guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been fun making this video yet again. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and catch us next time for the next in the Comprehensive Guide series. So again, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.